My boyfriend dumped me while I was pregnant for a more successful woman and regretted it big time. I'll never forgive him. I'm Sophia. My boyfriend Liam and I were together for almost 5 years. We met back in college in New York City at one of those loud, sweaty dorm parties where the music's blasting and the air smells like cheap beer, pizza, and that wild, carefree vibe of being young. Liam wasn't the guy who'd steal the show. Tall, kinda clumsy, with this warm, shy smile and eyes that made you feel like he really saw you. He had this goofy sense of humor that just got me, like the time he told me about getting stuck in an elevator with a professor who wouldn't stop lecturing him about Gothic architecture. We hit it off fast, spending nights talking about our dreams, him wanting to be an architect, designing skyscrapers that had changed the NYC skyline, and me dreaming of opening my own coffee shop in Brooklyn, a cozy little spot where people could hang out, sip coffee, and share their stories. We'd laugh about the dumbest things, like how he'd always forget to close the fridge door, or how I'd spill coffee on his sketches by accident. We promised each other we'd be together forever, and I believed it with every fiber of my being. Fast forward a few years, and we're living in this tiny apartment in Williamsburg, where the walls were so thin you could hear the neighbors upstairs arguing in Spanish or blasting 80s hits like Madonna or Michael Jackson. Liam was working as a junior architect at this small but up-and-coming firm, and I was slinging coffee as a barista, saving up for my dream. We weren't rolling in cash, but we had love, support, and this shared vision of the future. And then, boom, big news. I was pregnant. We found out about a month before everything fell apart. Liam was over the moon, hugging me so tight I could barely breathe, promising to be the best dad ever. He even started sketching out a nursery for our little one, even though our apartment was basically a shoebox. We tossed around names. Oliver for a boy after his grandpa, or Luna for a girl, because I thought it sounded magical. I pictured our kid running around my future coffee shop while Liam told them about the buildings he'd designed. I thought we were solid, unbreakable. Boy, was I wrong. It started with little things I tried to brush off. Liam began staying late at work, blaming it on urgent projects. His phone was always on silent, and he'd get jumpy if I picked it up to check the time. He wasn't his usual goofy self anymore. He stopped joking, stopped talking about our plans. His eyes, which used to light up when he looked at me, just seemed empty. I knew something was off, but every time I tried to talk about it, he'd shut me down. Sophia, you're overthinking. Everything's fine. But it wasn't. My gut was screaming that he was slipping away, and being pregnant made me feel even more vulnerable. Hormones had me crying over nothing, and I'd wake up from nightmares where he just walked out without a word. I was terrified of losing him, losing us, losing the family we were supposed to have. Then, one rainy night, while I was cooking dinner and daydreaming about our baby, Liam came home late. His shirt was wrinkled and he smelled like perfume. Sweet, with a hint of vanilla, some fancy stuff I'd never wear. My heart sank. Liam, what's going on? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady even though I was shaking inside. He looked at me and I saw guilt, determination, and something else in his eyes. Maybe regret? Maybe indifference. Then he dropped the bomb. Sophia, I met someone. Her name's Vanessa. She's different. I think she can give me the life I want. It felt like the floor dropped out from under me. Vanessa? That name hit like a punch. I tried to ask who she was, what she could give him that I couldn't, especially when I was carrying his kid. but the words wouldn't come. He kept talking, his voice cold, like he was reading a script. She works at a big financial firm on Wall Street. She's got connections, ambition. She knows how to make it big. I don't want to spend my life in this tiny apartment, Sophia. I want more. He didn't even mention the baby. Not a word about our future, our family, Luna or Oliver. It was like we didn't exist anymore. He packed his stuff that night while I sat on the couch, frozen, tears burning my eyes. Before he left, he turned and said, "I'm sorry, Sophia. I wish you the best." The door slammed and I was left alone in an apartment that felt like a stranger's. The next few days were a blur of pain. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. The stress and heartbreak were eating me alive, and all I could think about was keeping it together for the baby. But my body couldn't take it. A week after Liam left, I felt this sharp pain and everything went fuzzy. I woke up in the hospital where the doctors, with these pitying looks, told me I'd had a miscarriage. They said it was the stress, extreme emotional stress. I'd lost the baby I'd already fallen in love with. Lying on that cold hospital bed, I felt like I'd lost not just my child, but a piece of my soul. I blamed Liam for breaking me, blamed myself for not being stronger, for not protecting my baby. I'd stare at the ceiling for hours, unable to even cry. It was the darkest moment of my life, and I didn't know how to keep going. Social media became my personal hell. Vanessa, it turned out, loved flaunting her life on Instagram. She posted pics with Liam, fancy dinners in Manhattan, where a cocktail cost more than my groceries, weekend trips to Miami, posing in front of skyscrapers, yachts, and ocean sunsets. She was tall, with flawless skin, perfect makeup, and designer dresses from Gucci and Prada that I'd only seen in magazines. Liam looked happy, or at least he was trying to. His smile seemed fake, not like the goofy grin I knew. She bragged about their trips to Paris, the expensive gifts he gave her, even hinted at an engagement. I couldn't stop scrolling, even though every post felt like a knife twisting in my chest. Why wasn't I enough? Why did he choose her, knowing I was carrying his kid? Those questions haunted me, making it hard to breathe, but I wasn't going to let this destroy me. I started therapy to deal with the grief, signed up for business classes to get closer to my coffee shop dream. I tried to keep busy, but every night, coming back to that empty apartment, the loneliness hit like a wave. That's when Matt, Liam's best friend, stepped in. He knew about the breakup and messaged to check on me. Matt was always the nice guy, soft-spoken with a dry humor that could make you laugh even on your worst day. We'd only hung out with Liam before, but now he became my lifeline. He'd show up with coffee, sit with me in silence when I couldn't talk, or listen when I finally let the tears come. He didn't throw out cliches like, "It'll get better." He was just there. We'd spend evenings talking about life, dreams, pain. He told me Liam had ghosted all his friends since he started dating Vanessa, and Matt felt like he was losing his best friend. He'd reminisce about how they used to plan starting their own architecture firm. But now, Liam wouldn't even text back. Matt's support was like a light in the darkness, helping me find my way back to myself. Then, about 3 months after the breakup, I got a text from our mutual friend, Lisa. "Sophia, you need to hear this," she said, sending a long voice message. Her voice was shaking with excitement. Turns out, Vanessa and Liam's perfect life was all a front for the gram. Lisa said Vanessa wasn't just some hotshot finance bro. She was controlling and manipulative. She micromanaged Liam's life, who he could talk to, what he wore. She made him buy expensive suits he couldn't afford, ditch his old friends, including Matt, saying they were holding him back. She constantly rubbed it in that he owed her for his success, even though she was just using him to boost her own image. Liam, the guy who used to be so warm and open, was changing. Lisa saw him at an event, looking like a ghost, pale, eyes dead, like the life had been sucked out of him. But that wasn't all. Lisa heard from a coworker that Vanessa was cheating on him. She was spotted at a Manhattan bar with some other guy, while Liam was on a work trip to Chicago. It wasn't just a fling. She bragged about her new friend to colleagues, acting like Liam was just a placeholder. When he confronted her, she didn't even deny it. She laughed and told him he should be grateful she even gave him the time of day. Talk about a gut punch. Liam, who threw away our life and our baby for her, was stuck in a toxic mess. I didn't know how to feel. Part of me wanted to cheer. Karma, right? But the part of me that remembered the old Liam, the one who'd doodle on napkins and dream big, felt this ache. I didn't wish him pain, despite everything. Seeing him suffer was rough. Meanwhile, things with Matt were shifting. One night, we were walking across the Brooklyn Bridge, the Manhattan lights sparkling, and he grabbed my hand. It felt so natural, but it caught me off guard. I looked into his eyes and felt this warmth I hadn't felt in forever. He admitted he'd always admired me, my strength, my passion, my ability to laugh through the pain. But he never said anything because of Liam. Now he wanted to be more than a friend. I wasn't ready for a new relationship. My heart was still raw from losing the baby and Liam's betrayal. But with Matt, it felt possible. He made me feel safe, like I could breathe again. We started hanging out more, watching old movies, talking about books, and he even tried making latte art to help with my coffee shop plans, which was hilarious because his heart looked more like sad clouds. Life threw another curveball when I got a letter from Liam. He'd heard about the miscarriage from Lisa and said he felt guilty. He begged to meet and apologize. I wrestled with it, but agreed. We met at a small cafe downtown, the smell of coffee reminding me of my dreams. Liam looked wrecked. Dark circles, messy hair, no trace of his old smile. He spilled his guts. Vanessa was a nightmare. She didn't just cheat, she tried to tank his career, threatening to use her connections to get him fired. She mocked his dreams, called him a loser, made him feel worthless without her. He said he was blinded by her promises of a big life, her confidence, her world that seemed so far from our little apartment. He regretted leaving me, not appreciating what we had. I listened, but my heart was closed off. I'd lost too much, my baby, my trust in love, a piece of myself. I'm sorry it turned out this way, Liam, I said softly and walked out, leaving him with his cold coffee. A few weeks later, Lisa told me Liam finally broke it off with Vanessa. It wasn't easy. She threatened him, tried to manipulate him, even spread lies to his colleagues, saying he stole her ideas. But he found the strength to walk away. He went back to his old architecture firm, started rebuilding his friendships, but I knew there was no going back for us. Too much pain, too many scars. Meanwhile, my life was picking up. I opened my coffee shop, Sunrise Brew, in Brooklyn. A cozy spot with wooden tables, soft lights, bookshelves, and the smell of fresh coffee. I poured everything into it, my savings, my dreams, my heartbreak. Matt was there every step of the way, painting walls, building furniture, designing the sign, even helping me perfect a latte recipe that became a customer favorite. Our relationship was getting serious, and I could feel my heart thawing. One night, as we hung string lights for the grand opening, he looked at me and said, "Sophia, I'm not going anywhere. You deserve to be happy, and I want to be part of that." His words hit me hard in the best way. I realized I was falling for him. Not the wild, reckless love I had with Liam, but something deeper, steadier, like a foundation you could build a life on. But the story didn't end there. A few months later, Lisa told me Vanessa got caught in a massive scandal. Her success at the financial firm was a sham. She'd been fudging reports, stealing credit from colleagues, and using her position to manipulate people. When a fed-up coworker leaked proof, she was fired in disgrace. Her name splashed across business news. Her Instagram empire crumbled. Colleagues ditched her. Her new perfect guy bailed when her reputation tanked. She posted about new beginnings and self-growth, but the likes and comments dried up. Her glamorous life was just a hollow shell. Karma doesn't mess around. Then came another twist. Liam tried to come back into my life. He showed up at Sunrise Brew during our 3-month anniversary party. The place was packed, smelling like croissants and espresso, with Matt behind the counter, joking with customers, looking happier than ever. Liam looked better than last time, but still lost. He said he wanted to start over, that he'd changed, that he missed our late-night talks and dreams. He even brought up the baby, saying he'd never forgive himself for not being there. But I glanced at Matt, who caught my eye and smiled, and I knew my heart was elsewhere. I told Liam politely but firmly that I wished him well, but we were done. He left, and I felt this weight lift, like I'd finally closed that chapter. Then, plot twist. Vanessa tried to weasel her way into Matt's life. She sent him this long message claiming Liam lied about her, playing the victim card. She even hinted at wanting to reconnect as friends. Matt showed me the text, and we laughed at her desperate attempt to claw her way back. He replied, "I'm happy with Sophia. Good luck." That moment made me realize how much he meant to me. He wasn't just there for me. He was all in, honest, and ready to protect what we had. Another surprise came when a local blogger discovered Sunrise Brew and called it Brooklyn's hidden gem in a viral post. Customers flooded in, and I started dreaming about opening a second location. Matt was all in, suggesting we expand to another neighborhood, and we started planning it together like true partners. He even came up with a drink idea called Karma. Espresso with a hint of vanilla syrup and a touch of lemon zest for some zing. We cracked up over it, and I realized I hadn't felt this happy in forever. But life's never smooth sailing. 6 months after opening, I heard Liam was in trouble. Vanessa's lies had hurt his reputation. Colleagues were wary, and he lost some clients. Lisa said he was drinking too much, struggling to keep it together. Part of me wanted to help, but I remembered what he'd done. I sent him a short message, wishing him strength, but made it clear I was moving on. It was the last thing I said to him. Another curveball. My little sister, Emma, moved to NYC to help with a coffee shop. She's my biggest cheerleader, and her energy brought Sunrise Brew to life. We started hosting live music nights with local bands, drawing even bigger crowds. Emma and Matt hit it off, teasing me about being the coffee queen, and their support made me believe in myself again. Today, I'm happy. Sunrise Brew is thriving, and I've found my place in the world. Matt's not just my partner, but my best friend, the one I can be myself with. We're planning a trip to Italy to check out their coffee culture, and we've even started talking about a future together. Maybe a family someday. Losing my baby will always hurt, but I've learned to live with that pain, knowing it made me stronger. I've learned my worth isn't tied to who stays or leaves. I've learned to let go of people who don't see my value and to love myself, even when life feels unfair. With Matt, I've learned love can show up when you least expect it, built on trust, support, and respect. If you've been through something like this, know you're not alone. Sometimes life breaks your heart to remind you you're stronger than you think. Has anyone ever cheated on you in a relationship? Share your story. Let's lift each other up.